The Minnesota Vikings' future isn't looking too great ahead of the 2023 season. The team is expected to be a frontrunner for the NFC North Division this year, but not really contend for a Super Bowl due to the fact that they are lacking a bunch of pieces on the defense. You look at the 2022 season, the defense was very lacking and stuff like that, and they didn't really address that in this offseason. But first, to be able to get a whole grasp of how this team is and how they're going to look in the 2023 season, we got to go all the way back to the start of the 2022 season and the 2022 offseason. So, going into the 2022 season, the Vikings were a team destined to contend in the weak NFC North, where every team got worse while they got better. The Vikings that season added guys like Zadarius Smith, Jonathan Bullard, Harrison Phillips, Jordan Hicks, and Chandon Sullivan. They also drafted Andrew Booth and Louis Cine, but Cine did not really play that much as he was injured for most of the year. While Andrew Booth did play in 6 games, he showed some type of promise for the Vikings, but he did get burned quite a lot at that cornerback position. Now, the Zadarius Smith signing was going to be something to help relieve the pressure off of Danielle Hunter and be able to allow them both to get double-digit sack seasons or just to be able to produce at a high level. They both did get double-digit sack seasons together. That didn't really help the defense, though, as the defense did rank 30th in points per game, 31st in yards per game, and 30th in yards per play. So clearly, the defense had a lot of struggles. And that's kind of what helped make the Vikings not a good type of team come into close games, because the defense will allow a lot of points and really not be able to keep them in games. So how did the offense do? Let's go take a look. Well, the offense was 8th in points per game, 6th in yards per game, and 11th in yards per play. So clearly the offense wasn't the weakness, and I wouldn't expect it to be with Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, Dalvin Cook, and half a season of TJ Hockenson as the weapons for Kirk Cousins. While the offense clearly made a jump to be better in 2022, the Vikings still were not able to blow teams out with how horrendous the defense was. And because of that, the Vikings won 11 one-score games, which I don't believe is something that if in 2023 they'll be able to keep up. So you may be thinking, how is that not something they'll be able to keep up? Well, the Vikings went 13-4, and they won 11 of those 13 games by 1 score. Now, obviously, if you cut that in half, that's going to be roughly just 6 wins, so 6 plus 2 is 8. They'll be looking like a mediocre team. So, obviously, the Vikings went 13-4 behind Justin Jefferson's dominance, but ultimately were eliminated early in the postseason action by the New York Giants, because the defense wasn't able to stop Daniel Jones and Isaiah Hodgins, of all people. So, obviously, the Vikings front office would have concerns for the defense going into the 2023 offseason, but since they were strapped for cash with the Kirk Cousins contract, they weren't able to make a lot of moves unless they moved on from a lot of people. That really kind of helped this team be productive and really good. So let's take a look into the 2023 offseason, shall we? The Vikings kicked off the offseason by releasing longtime Vikings Adam Thielen, Eric Kendricks. With that money off the books, the Vikings were able to bring back Garrett Bradbury, CJ Ham, Nick Mullins, Alexander Mattson, Jonathan Bullard, and Greg Joseph. The Vikings also added Dean Lowry, Marcus Davenport, Josh Oliver to help replace the loss of Irv Smith, and lastly they signed Byron Murphy, a corner to help replace the loss of the aging Patrick Peterson. Later in the offseason, the Vikings also released Zadarius Smith and Dalvin Cook to release more money into their pockets and be able to allow the Vikings to spend more money maybe in the future or on another piece this offseason. Now, my big question, are these players that they have to replace these guys going to be able to step up, or are the Vikings going to be a team that really struggle because there's a lot left to be proven? I think it could be due to the fact that there's so many holes on this team to begin with that releasing some of these stars could lead to more holes. So let's go take a look into the 2023 draft to see who they used their picks on to replace these guys with. With the first round pick, the Vikings selected Jordan Addison out of USC, who I believe is going to pair nicely with Justin Jefferson. Obviously, why I think that is Justin Jefferson is a top 5, top 2 receiver in the NFL, which will lead to teams strategizing to double team or triple team Justin Jefferson, which will allow Jordan Addison or KJ Osborne to get a lot more open and be able to use their route tree. Jordan Addison, obviously a great route runner, will be able to be a team's third or second corner with his routes. Obviously, if a lot of teams are focusing on Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison will get a better matchup. They also selected another USC player, Mekhi Blackmon, who could easily be a day one starter for him and be able to provide some decent upside when he's on the field. Now the question is, how much is he going to be able to provide? He was a 3rd round pick, but let's not slack on the first 3 rounds, as there's going to be a lot of playmakers in those rounds. So I think Mekhi Blackmon and the Jordan Addison picks are pretty good. I think Mekhi Blackmon is going to be part of this new reformed young secondary that the Vikings are trying to build with Louis Cine, Byron Murphy, who was basically the veteran along with Harrison Smith, and also Andrew Booth Jr. Now, they also selected Jay Ward, a safety out of LSU, then Jaquilin Roy out of LSU as well. And they also selected Jaron Hall, a QB out of BYU. Now, Jaron Hall probably won't be the next quarterback to replace Kirk Cousins, as he is a fifth-round quarterback. He was okay at BYU, don't get me wrong, though. But he was a fifth-round pick. I don't think he's going to be able to mold into what these quarterbacks are and be able to lead to a team to a Super Bowl. He can prove me wrong for all I know. But I don't think it's going to be a move that the Vikings are really going to look at and be like, that's the future quarterback. Hell, they didn't do that with Kellen Mond when they selected him a few years ago. So, the Vikings selected with their last pick Dwayne McBride, a running back out of UAB, keeping the trend with three-letter abbreviation teams that they select for college players. I strongly believe McBride will be a good running back for them, as he was a dude who rushed over 1,000 yards in each year of his college career, and also had double-digit touchdowns in his last season. Alexander Mattison is going to be a great back, I have a feeling. He's tormented defenses for a little bit of time, but not as much as Dalvin Cook. Now, obviously, he could change that this year with Dalvin Cook no longer being on the team, and he could be the bell cow back for them, but he's going to need some time to get rest or anything like that on the sideline, and that's where I think Dwayne McBride will come in. I think the splitting of the carries with Alexander Mattison will help him ease into the game and learn the offense a lot better. And I think this two-headed monster running back team they could have going will be great because they don't need to rely on the run game since they have the passing attack. So this draft obviously has some upside, but it all depends on how these guys produce and how these guys develop, because at the end of the day, they haven't played a snap in the NFL. They are just rookies who have little experience. Now, I think Jordan Addison and Mekhi Blackman will have the most experience because they did play a lot of years in college. So did Dwayne McBride and Jaron Hall. They all have played well. But these are guys that have had more upside in the two people taken out of USC. I think this team will be good, and I think these picks could develop and make this team a lot better. But they're just rookies, so relying on them a lot will hurt them or make them better, depending on how the Vikings attack this. So my honest opinion on this team, there are going to be growing pains, obviously, because they have rookies in almost every positional category that is important. The defensive line is still okay, but I don't know if it's gotten better, and I think it might have gotten worse, because they have lost Darius Smith, and now they're having to replace him with Marcus Davenport, who doesn't show he is healthy a whole lot. So this team could possibly in the future look to trade multiple picks to get a future quarterback in the draft, or someone that maybe want out of their current situation to replace Kirk Cousins, who clearly is a game manager and not someone that is a long-term answer for them. So the Vikings, in my opinion, need to move on from Kirk Cousins if they want to be a Super Bowl contender. Now, will they? I don't think so. That contract is pretty much immovable as of right now, but who knows? Maybe some team wants him. We don't know. Not really any team could be looking for him right now. So Vikings do need a quarterback, and they don't have anybody to replace him, and there's no quarterback wanting out of a team. I think any quarterback would want to go to Minnesota just to play with Justin Jefferson, in my opinion. So these moves the Vikings have made definitely help the team stay okay, but I don't know how much better there will be, and most of the games they won will not be able to stay consistent with the games they're going to win this year. That is all I have for the video today. I thank you guys for watching. Please click that like button and make sure it turns blue. Click the subscribe button as well, and make sure the notification bell is on so you're notified for any videos in the future. Have a good day, everyone.